Where are you?
Welcome to our Revenge series. Today's tale is about what happens when you mess with the wrong creature. This time, a snake with a deadly curse. But before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to my channel, unless you want to end up like our unlucky protagonist. Now, let's get into the story. My name is Michael O'Connell, and for most of my youth, I was invincible, or so I thought. I grew up in a small Irish town where life was simple and the land was green and endless. Sports were my passion, my escape from the quiet monotony of rural life. Whether it was running, wrestling, or boxing, I was always the best. No one could beat me, and I liked it that way. People in town called me the Bull, and I wore that title with pride. But all that changed the day I killed the snake. It was a humid summer afternoon, the kind that makes the air feel thick and heavy. I was on my way home from training, my shirt soaked with sweat, my muscles aching in that satisfying way they do after a good workout. I was taking a shortcut through the woods, lost in thoughts about the upcoming championship, when I heard it, a faint rustling in the tall grass. I stopped, curious. There, just off the path, was a green snake, coiled and still, its head raised slightly, as if it were watching me. It wasn't a big snake, maybe 3 feet long, but its scales gleamed in the sunlight, like emeralds. I don't know what came over me, but something about that snake irked me. Maybe it was the way it stared at me, unblinking, as if it didn't fear me at all. Without thinking, I raised my foot and stomped on it, hard. The snake didn't even have a chance to strike. Its body thrashed for a moment, then lay still, the life drained from its eyes. I remember feeling a twisted sense of satisfaction, like I'd just won another match, another victory for the bull. I left the snake there and continued home, not giving it another thought. But that night, I had the first dream. I was lying in bed, drifting off to sleep, when suddenly, I felt something cold and smooth slither across my legs. I jolted awake, my heart racing. But when I looked down, there was nothing there. Just a nightmare, I told myself, shaking it off. But as soon as I closed my eyes again, the dream returned. This time I was standing in the woods, the same woods where I'd killed the snake. But the trees were taller, darker, closing in around me. The ground was damp, and the air was thick with fog. I could hear something moving through the underbrush, slow and deliberate, like it was stalking me. My breath quickened as I looked around, trying to see through the mist. But there was nothing, just the sound of something slithering closer. Then I felt it, a sharp pain in my leg, like a bite, and I woke up in a cold sweat. I could still feel the sting, though when I checked, there was no mark, no sign of anything wrong. I told myself it was just a dream, a side effect of overtraining. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. Over the next few weeks, the dreams became more frequent, more intense. Each night the snake would come for me, growing larger, more menacing, until it was all I could think about. I tried to ignore it, to push through, but the lack of sleep started to take its toll. My performance on the field suffered. I was sluggish, unfocused, and for the first time, I started losing. People in town noticed. The bull, once unbeatable, was suddenly vulnerable, and it didn't take long for the whispers to start. I could feel their eyes on me, judging, waiting for me to slip up again. The pressure was unbearable. Then came the day when everything changed. I was home alone, sitting at the kitchen table, staring at a plate of food I had no appetite for. The house was too quiet, the air too still. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. My skin prickled with unease, and that's when I heard it. A faint hissing sound coming from the hallway. I froze, my fork clattering to the plate. The hissing grew louder, closer, and my heart pounded in my ears. Slowly I stood up, my legs trembling beneath me. I walked to the hallway, each step feeling heavier than the last. When I reached the doorway, I saw it, a snake, just like the one I'd killed. Only this one was much larger, coiled up in the middle of the floor. Its eyes locked onto mine. My blood ran cold. It couldn't be real. This had to be another dream. But as I stood there, paralyzed with fear, the snake began to uncoil, its body rippling with muscle. It slithered towards me, its tongue flicking out as if tasting the air. I stumbled back, my hand gripping the doorframe for support. The snake stopped a few feet away, its head raised, those cold, unblinking eyes staring straight into mine. "You took my life," a voice hissed in my mind, low and menacing. "Now I'll take yours." I tried to move, to run, but my legs wouldn't obey. The snake lunged, its jaws wide, and I felt a sharp pain in my leg as its fangs sank into my flesh. I screamed, the pain searing through me, and then everything went black. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed, my leg bandaged and throbbing with pain. The doctor told me I'd been found unconscious on the floor of my house. A snake bite on my leg, but they couldn't find the snake, though they said I was lucky to be alive. That the bite wasn't venomous, but I knew better. This wasn't luck. This was a curse. The weeks that followed were a blur of pain and fear. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't think. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that snake, felt its fangs sinking into me. My body began to waste away, my muscles growing weak and frail. The once unstoppable bull was now a shadow of his former self. People in town avoided me, their pitying looks worse than their gossip. They whispered about the curse, about the snake that had come for me. Some said I was cursed because of what I'd done, that I'd angered the spirits of the forest. Others thought I was just going mad, losing my grip on reality. But I knew the truth. One night, as I lay in bed, too weak to move, I felt the snake's presence again. It was close. I could sense it, its cold eyes watching me from the darkness. I tried to scream, to call for help, but no sound came out. The snake was in the room with me. I could feel it, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. Then I saw it, slithering out from the shadows, its body impossibly long, its scales gleaming in the moonlight. It moved slowly, deliberately, as if savoring the moment. I could feel its breath on my skin, its fangs brushing against my neck. "You took my life," it hissed again, the words echoing in my mind. "Now I'll take yours." I closed my eyes, accepting my fate. There was no escape, no redemption. I had sealed my own doom the day I killed that snake, and now it had come to collect. They found me the next morning, my body cold and lifeless, the look of terror still etched on my face. The doctors said it was a heart attack, brought on by stress and exhaustion. But those who knew the story, the ones who believed in the old ways, knew the truth. In the years since, people still talk about the bull, the boy who was cursed by a snake he killed in the woods. They say that if you listen closely on a quiet night, you can still hear the hiss of the snake, searching for the next soul to claim. And they warn the young and foolish to tread lightly in the woods, for there are forces in this world that should never be crossed.